All right, we back. Episode 84, A.M.University. I'm your host, Antoine Miller. I got some prominent guests on today for this topic, man. This topic been itching at me for a while now, and I call Brother DELGRECO to my right first, and he talking my ear off about what we about to talk about for 45 minutes. I'm like, yo, Del, let's just save it for the couch, man, because it's crazy out here right now, basketball-wise. It is insane. But before we get into it, let me introduce my guest, owner of Black Kaiser Sports, founder, journalist, everything in between. Second time on the show, Brother DELGRECO. Wilson, how you living?
I'm good, man. I'm glad to be here, Coach.
Huh?
Coach. I've been to the games. This boy be coaching, man.
Yeah.
Don't let it fool you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Before we even start, I appreciate you coming. Same with Brother JULIAN DUNKLEY over here, founder of Difference Makers. It's the same. These guys are the same people. I don't even want to go down their laundry list of tasks they endure throughout the day for helping youth throughout the sport of basketball and in life. They do a lot of things that no one will ever hear about because they really care about the betterment of the youth. Very humble guys, but really good at what they do at the same time. Brother JULIAN DUNKLEY, how you living?
Pretty good, man. Just happy to be here. Second time. Feels good to be here.
Yeah. Look, man, we ain't waiting, bro. What's happening, man? What is happening in the landscape of basketball from the grassroots level? I don't even know where to start with this, man, because I'm looking on the TV, I'm looking in my backyard, I'm looking around the corner at all these things transpiring, you know, and it really feels like the wild, wild west to me, where I don't really know how to comprehend it. And me, I feel like I'm a smart dude, but I just don't know, right? You guys are experienced and very versatile in the different levels of basketball y'all have seen, the business ventures, the caliber of kids, the 5 stars, the JUCO guys, the community college guys. You guys have seen it all in your experience, and you know, between the NIL and the transfer portal and just everything, I can't wrap my head around it. So I was like, let me call y'all two to get y'all on the show and let's talk about it. So I just want to ask that broad question, starting with Brother JULIAN DUNKLEY. Like, what is going on, bro?
Man, I mean, that's a very broad question, but just to dive in, you know, I think they thought it was saving college basketball in a sense by empowering the youth to make this money. Kids would be more, they'd be more apt to stay in school and not leave to go to the NBA or other endeavors or whatever, motivate them to want to stay in school. But I think it's a double-edged sword, because in the process of doing that, when you're allowing guys to make more money than their assistant coaches, when you're allowing guys to have the freedom to go to 4 schools in 4 years, depending on what financial opportunities await them at the next stop, it kind of limits them, I think, in their development. Because if I'm a college coach and I have a certain style of coaching where I might want to get the most out of the kid, there's a key word that's missing from a lot of athletes these days, and the word is adversity. They don't know how to face and battle through adversity. When something gets tough, they just bolt and leave. And this system is not really helping us get over that. You know, I do love the financial freedom and the power that the kids have, and I'm all about, if you outgrow something and you want to go up, and if you can make money going up, I don't have a problem with that. But when it prohibits a coach from really coaching the kid the way he needs to coach him to develop and let him try to get to the next level, mentally, physically, emotionally, you know, then it becomes a problem. Because you want to be able to, you don't want a coach to be able to have to walk on eggshells with the kid while he's coaching him. You want him to be able to pour into a kid and really get the most out of him so he can be the best player and the best student athlete he can be. And I feel like with some of these new things that are put in place, it can kind of counteract that. That's why you got some coaches that openly say, like, this ain't for them. Like the Jay Wrights, and I'm sure a lot of other coaches feel that way.
Roy.
Yeah, that this ain't the style or the things that they want to go through, because it goes against the fabric that what they was taught up to instill into the kids and the young men to get them to be the best, man. And you know, I think I think it's the character the kid plays a part, how they were raised, the environment, the people they have around them plays a big part. You got to have a good team of people around you to make the right decisions. And I feel like once these kids get hot, they attract a team of strangers, and that can be counterproductive as well, because it's easy to get somebody after they're established. Because you know, if you're making, I don't know, I'll just throw a number out there. If some school's gonna give you 300,000-400,000, you know, it becomes a business now, and then the people around you, they're not doing nothing for free. They want their percentage. So then they're gonna try to get you to go to the highest bidder, so then they can make the most for them. And I'm a firm believer that it's a combination of basketball and finances for you and your family. And you can get that money on the back end if you pick the right basketball situation, the academic situation. It don't just got to be go to the highest bidder, because if they got money to give you, they can pay the 7 kids the same amount, and you might be in the same situation at a high major school. Right. And I've seen that with certain kids too. So fit and balance with the financial choices, I think, plays a part with getting these kids where they got to go to be successful.
Before Brother DELGRECO go, he came in here flossing some you know, a little jewelry. He trying to floss on us. He meeting us at the door with a little, I ain't gonna say a little, championship ring out here, man. South Carolina Gamecocks. Congratulations to Dawn Staley. Just want to say that on camera. Amazing job that she did with them girls, man. I love when it's kind of funny. That's kind of what's happening now. But I love when things kind of people kind of crack the system. Like we all normalize a way of things, especially in sports, and it's just like this the way it got to be. Then somebody come like, why can't I do it this way?
Shake it up.
Yeah. I love when that type of stuff happens. So congratulations to Dawn Staley. Brother Del, man, let me have it, man, because I was talking to you for 45 minutes, man, and you was hitting me with some things that again, I just wasn't versed enough in knowing, you know, and it was like, I'm not a person that I don't really not have too many comebacks for people when we get in a debate, but you was hitting me with so many realistic facts. It was like I couldn't really come back at you. What you think about this whole ordeal, man, from the lens that you've seen it?
Well, I think it's really impossible to understand where we are until we at least walk through, even if it's a quick walkthrough, the origins of this. The NCAA in no way, shape, or form wanted any of this to occur. This is not an NCAA initiated process that we're going through. The last 5 or 6 years have each and every decision, every step of the way has been driven by courts. These are American judges who have put college athletics in the predicament that it's now in. There's been nothing from the NCAA that moved in this direction other than a response to different losses in various court cases. And I think for the financial freedom that Dunkley is talking about, I think the kids should really all pay homage to Ed O'Bannon, because he was the first one to say, hey man, this ain't right. You know, that's me on that video game. And from that day forward, I think, honestly, I think it's about 15 to 20 and 0. The kids and their lawyers, they're all just racking up victory after victory. And on the one case that made it to the Supreme Court, it was a 9-0 decision. When's the last time you've seen our Supreme Court in this country vote unanimously on any topic? They don't. The court is split. It's a 6-4 court. It's a very conservative court, but it's a 6-3 court right now, my bad. But all 9 justices said that these kids have a right to go out and seek compensation in line with whatever the market will bear. And to do otherwise, this notion of amateurism, and we just don't pay them because it's a tradition in America with this college sports. You know, the Olympians have been getting paid for a long time now. You know, Jordan Barkley and them didn't play for free. You know, it's been a long time they did away with that in the Olympics, this notion of amateurism. So the courts have driven it. And even the freedom that we now face, Dunkley pointed out correctly, the kids can go to 4 schools in 4 years with absolutely no barrier to playing as long as they're on track academically. That is a result of a court decision. And the NCAA last week actually codified it in their regulations. When the court passed it, it was the Tennessee courts. It was a case in Tennessee, and the court, someone representing a kid, it was actually, I think, someone from the Tennessee athletic department, was like, hey, we want these kids to play right away. They took it to their court. They won, and the judges issued a stay. The NCAA could not prevent kids from playing right away. The big kid that left Temple last year, it was his second transfer. He was sitting out, fighting it at Cincinnati. The day after that court decision in Tennessee, that kid at Cincinnati could play. This is all driven by courts. No one in the NCAA is going around saying, hey, let's do right by the kids. Let's share with the kids. Let's let the kids. No. The NCAA would rather take 100% of the money, prevent the kids from being paid at all, to keep them in a school that they committed to. If you want to transfer, they would want to impose a 1-year, residency requirement and keep you from playing a year in order to limit your ability to just move around. And they probably wouldn't even allow second and third transfers because your clock would be running. So if you did it twice, you lose a year of actual playing time. So that's where we are. And I don't think that we should proceed from a point where we're talking about NCAA decision making, because quite frankly, it's irrelevant. They're no longer a factor. And they've been out of football. The college football playoffs and all that, none of that money goes to the NCAA. The BCS, the FCS, all that. BCS is a separate financial entity. The NCAA does not reach into that pot of money and use it for anything. The NCAA is totally funded by March Madness, the tournament. That's how, and they do over $1 billion a year just on the tournament with the TV rights and all of that stuff. So we are where we are. It's not going back because the courts have made it very, very clear. And if you read, anyone who's watching, you can just Google Justice Kavanaugh and put NCAA after it and just read what he wrote in his opinion when this thing got to the Supreme Court. He said there's no way we would let a group of restaurants get together and just say, we don't want to pay our waiters because that's just our tradition. Our customers have gotten used to it. That's the way we do it. He said there's no way. And that's the literal analogy that he used. And it's just so plain and logical in American. Right. When you see it written down, you wonder how they pulled it off for over 100 years. Right.
Because I want to say this with a caveat. Like, I don't want to sound like them coaches that's going on TV just complaining about, like, well, they're able to do whatever they want, and
yes.
It's not fair, and this is why I gotta get out. Like, what happened to just staying committed to? Because I'm not that person at all, but I am that person, and I talked to Dunk about this a couple minutes before we started. I don't want to say this without sounding like those guys. Like, what's the line with it though? Because I'm always talking from the kid's point of view. Like, that's all I could care less what adults do. I'm just talking about from the kid's point of view when they say they deal with a little bit of adversity and they gone, right? And it's like, or I'm coming here for this bag and then I'm going. And it just, the cycle, like, I just don't know. And I'm not saying this to be right or wrong. I just want to hear what you guys think about it. Like, like, where does it end, and what are we teaching these kids within what we're doing? Because I don't want to go back. I always thought, and now you're saying it's a courts, I never even looked at it from that type of angle. I always thought this was like the biggest criminal enterprise in America. Like the way these kids get on their back. We playing a video game with the number on it. We know who the person is. Somebody getting rich off of it. Like, but where does it end? Like, what's the line with it? Like, because I don't know what we're teaching right now.
I think we just got to know that these are, like, I was speaking from the kids' point of view as well. These are byproducts of these decisions from the NCAA. These are byproducts that we're just going to have to learn to adjust. And you got to have the right people around these kids to just not make it about solely the money. The money is going to be important. It's going to play a factor. But if these kids want to play at the highest level, develop, and continue, there has to have a certain amount of balance. You got to get your bag. Trust me. The rules are there for you to, and you got to know whatever you say your market value is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, make sure you got a circle of people around you that's going to make sure you pick the right, help you, guide you in the right way, so you get the right balance with the right school and the right financial situation. And guess what? That school you're at, they can take care of you financially all the way through if they continue to match your market value to what's going on in the landscape today. So if you pick the right school, you could end up staying there for 2, 3, 4 years, but it has to be the right combination. And I have another issue with it. It's like, another byproduct of it is it really hurts the high school kids. You know what I mean? I'm all for the rule change. I'm all for everything. But if you're not a top 100 high school kids, there's a lot of high school kids that would have went D1 7 years ago that's going D2 now. There's a lot of kids going to low major conferences that would have been mid-majors 7, 8 years back. So, and there's kids right now that are great high school players that don't have scholarships right now.
Can you speak on that like a little more in depth, like just the whole landscape of it, like, because these high school, I know a lot of high school kids that think they're going to perform and the colleges are going to come, like just straightforward, right? But not understanding what's happening in college already and how these college coaches is going about it.
All right, well, when you get to high school, I look at it this way. And Dale, I ain't never really talked to you about this, but tell me how you feel about this. It's like, you got 3 years to get your scholarship. You don't got 4 anymore, because that's why kids want to play right away as a freshman, because you got your freshman year, you got your sophomore year, you got your junior year. Then you have your AAU summer, spring and summer going into your senior year. And by October, when's the early sign-up period to October?
I think so.
October, whenever the early sign-up period is before your high school senior season, if you're a high school kid and you have offers, Dell will call me, tell that kid to take it, Dunk. Tell that kid, hey, you working that kid out, you helping him out, tell him to take it. That school called me, said he loved him. And I know he got it on the table, tell him to take it. And I'm a firm believer in, when October comes, if you got a full scholarship on the table, I don't care if it's McDuffie State. If they're going to pay for your schooling and you're going to get to play the game you love, take it. Because if you think after October, these colleges are checking for high school kids, they're not. They're looking at the portal, and they're looking at all these things we talked about. They're even looking at D2, D1 NAIA kids. They're looking at all that. So that consumes that whole year after October. So then the late sign-up period, which is April or May or whatever, they're getting kids in the portal the whole time to take up them scholarships, and they're getting those older kids. So I always say you got 3 years to really make your impact with that summer, AAU-wise, to try to obtain the attention to get the scholarship, the full scholarship go. Hey, am I dealing with a couple kids that got high school scholarships after? Absolutely. But back in my day, it was like, if you had a great senior year, you're in there. And now, it's not so much prevalent. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different. You got to have relationships when you have to play your senior year in high school. You got to have people like Dell or myself getting on the phone every day to try to help you, to hope that somebody can say, you know what? I use a kid, for example, like a Daywalk Tavares or a Carlos Lopez. Carlos Lopez was the player of the year in the Cal, went to prep school, was one of the top prep school players in the country, and he had one scholarship to St. Francis, PA, and he took it. All rookie team, great kid, jumped in the portal. He just committed to Hofstra yesterday. Not sure what the numbers were, but kid got a good situation. Going to play for Speedy Claxton, great coach. Multiple 21 seasons at Hofstra already. Coach Aaron Estrada, player of the year at Hofstra, 2 times in that league. You know what I mean? That looks like a good situation for him. But a lot of these schools could have got Carlos out of high school, and they didn't even think of it because they were so stuck on, we got to go old, we got to go portal, we got to go this. I'll take a kid that's going to live in the gym and be a great piece to my culture, whether it be high school, college, JUCO. It's just about meeting the kid and trusting your eyes. And a kid like Daywalk Tavares, has a great senior year at A&C, gets MVP of the Donofrio Classic with multiple NBA and top McDonald's All-Americans playing in that league that year, and he got MVP of the league and won a championship. And he gets one Division I scholarship to Del State, goes there, turns it out, rookie of the year, all rookie team, and all conference as a rookie. So now
30, 40 offers now.
Yep, 30, 40 offers. Just went down to his top 7. I'm not sure if he's going to renege that because every day another school's calling. You know what I mean? And you know, that's a prime example. I remember being on the phone. I'm not gonna say the coach's name, but like, or the coaches with an S. But all these coaches are calling me, you know, asking what Daywalk's doing because they know I've worked with him since 8th grade. And I say, look at your phone, May 22nd, or March 22nd, 2022. Look at your text messages from 2021. Look at your text messages but when he was in high school. And I look, and I was sending them his stats, sending them his stuff. And it was crickets after it. But now you're calling me a year and a half later, ready to give the kid 6 figures and up to transfer to your school. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a better player now, he is, but the foundation was there. He proved it. Every challenge that was put in front of him, he proved it.
So you're saying from the top-notch schools in the NCAA,
I sent this stuff from
everybody is functioning the same way.
Mid-majors to low majors, they can all look at their phone, and there was at least 70 texts, copy and paste with the same stats, with the same thing. Check this kid out. He could definitely help your program. Crickets. And about 20 of them same schools called me in the last week, I mean, since he's been in the portal. And I just said, revert back to your text message. You'll see that I definitely let you know about the kid. So I think high school coaches gotta shift their way, college coaches gotta shift their way of thinking that, yeah, the portal is important. You're gonna get a kid like the kid from Oakland hitting 10 threes in a game. That's 24. But all the teams, if you look at the statistics in the NCAA, they have a mixture of high school kids and older kids. So you can't forget about the high school kids because they build your culture. You know what I mean? So I just think, just a little story to, you know, give you a little background of how I feel about it, because I want these kids to get paid. I want them to get in right situations. I want them to be empowered, but I also want college coaches to know that, like, you know, you can look at these high school kids too, because they're going to develop into something later. And don't let all these quote unquote low D ones grab them up, and then you gotta pay top dollar for them a year or two later.
What's the balance with this, Dale?
I think it's important to understand that underlying everything that we're talking about is a basic, fundamental acceptance of the role of markets in the marketplace in all of this. And that is where the courts are coming from, that you can't deny these kids access to markets. You mean to tell me Chevrolet is willing to pay this kid and we're going to say he can't do it? You're going to tell me that, you know, Crest toothpaste and Dr. Pepper are willing to pay these kids, and that's ridiculous. That's un-American. And that's what the judges have said. Now, the other side of markets is sometimes there's not a buyer. And so these kids jump out and they go into the portal. 45% of them will not play Division I basketball ever again. And everyone involved in this, the coaches, the AAU coaches, guys like Dunk, guys like yourself, we all have to be okay with that, because that's what markets are. You know, you put your house out on the market, you think your house is worth $200,000. Everybody's coming by telling you they're gonna give you $80,000 for the crib, right? You got 5, one dude offered 75, other dude offered 80, other dude offered 85. You're like, my house is worth $200,000. What's your house worth? It's worth $80,000. And that's what these kids, you know, I'm a D1 player. Well, dude, you got 6 NAIA and 3 D2 offers. You have no D1 offers. Right. What are you, son? Right. You're an NAIA player. And we have to be okay with that. And Dunk is right. I'm not going to argue that there are kids who are now playing Division II who rightfully belong at the Division I level 5 years ago. But all these market forces weren't at work 5 years ago. So now they're out here and these coaches feel this pressure, man. They don't have time to worry about, you know, you're 18 and you might grow into this, that, and this. You know, I can get that 23-year-old right now. You know, next year is my contract year. I need him right now. So we have to keep that in mind. I think another thing that we need, because you're right, there's the concern about the developmental part of sports. We all know that sports plays an important role in socializing young people. Especially, let's be real, our young black people from Camden, Philly, Trenton, Chester, Baltimore, Newark, sometimes we take some little uncivilized dudes and we're able to civilize them through sports. You know, you take a look, man, when I go in here, you better not embarrass me. You know, I did it last week, took a kid, restaurant, some college coaches. He 8 years old from Canada. I'm like, you better not show your ass up in here. And you get that. You're able to do that through sports. And that's an important part of it. But another important part of it, and I'll just say it, the white male fan base. You know, these guys have gotten used to a certain way of doing things, you know, and even if you aren't really fond of black or brown people, that's my black or brown kid on my team, and I want to see him here for 4 years, and I want to see him develop it. And now that's kind of going away, and the fans who donate, and if you go to any, we all go to college games, don't? You know, we sit in the section right behind the bench, and that's where you find the black people at. It's the families, it's the mom, it's the aunt, and it's the recruits. And if you look around the whole rest of the stadium, it's all white people. And they pay. And they pay for those tickets. We don't pay for the tickets. And so these people have real concerns about the type of product, the quality of the product. Do I feel the same way? You know, Kentucky's going to have an entirely new team next year.
Completely.
Villanova's going to have an entirely new team. Duke is going to have an entirely new team next year. Am I as invested in this team as I was? You know, because before, even if they left, they was going to the draft. These guys are transferring now. This is a different thing. And now we're going to go out, we're going to recruit a kid from Penn. We're recruiting a kid from LaSalle. What is that? There's that concern. And that is the concern, because I talk to a lot of my white friends who are big-time college basketball fans. They worry about that. They say, it's like professional sports. And I don't want to, I want college to be different. Well, once you insert the market into it and opportunity for advancement, you know, it's just something we all have to live with and deal with.
Yeah, you're right. And from the recruitment piece too, just to throw this in here, like say you got a player, I've known you for years now, and I got a relationship, and I'm a Division I coach, and that player's coming to Dunkley U. And you know, I'm supporting, I called him, did all the rules, stay within the rules, come out, check him out to play. You know I got his best interest at heart. And then Dell University comes in, and Dell University says, look, I can give you $400,000. Dell can come in the night before the signing period, never have a conversation with that kid ever in his life, and he's gonna get that kid, because I don't got that type of money. I don't even got no money for him.
That's always been the case in football, big time football. You know, everybody just act like it wasn't going. We had kids sitting up at the stand in college football, say, hey, I'm going to, you know, I'm from Florida, I'm staying in Florida. Mom, get up, walk out.
Yep, I saw that.
Got up, walk out. Why mom so mad? Because Alabama and mom been talking, and they had an arrangement, and somebody got to the kid. All you can do, if you ever get a chance, watch the Eric Dixon 30 for 30 or whatever, and he talks about, you know, they gave him a brand new Trans Am. You know, he drove it to school.
Eric Dickinson.
Yeah, Eric Dickinson. I mean, it's all, Barkley talks about it. Rex Chapman right now, in the past 2 weeks, says it out loud. I was offered $700,000 to stay my senior year at Kentucky. He said, I made less my rookie year in the NBA than I would have made staying at Kentucky.
So that's the thing. Relationships go out the window when it comes, and now it's open and it's okay. So it's not what was done in the back alley is done at the dinner table at Del Frisco's now. So it's a big difference.
But we don't even really have to do hypothetical. He has a kid.
I know.
He has a kid, and I watch the kid. I don't know the kid. I never seen the kid. I'm watching him play, and I know, I'm like, there's a market for this kid. This kid's services right here, not Division I, just knowing the way things work right now. Maybe 5 years ago, could have swung it somewhere.
But he shouldn't have to pay to go to school.
He should know. He shouldn't. Right. And I say all that to say that we have to readjust our expectations. NAIA, Division II, if they can come up with packages where mom is not borrowing money, kids not borrowing money, and all they got to do is get that kid on a plane or a bus and get them there, then we have to, that's a win. Right. That's a big time win. Right. I know kids right now who did not start for schools like O'Hara, like Archbishop Ryan. They're not starters. They have multiple Division II and AIA full scholarship offers. These kids are averaging 6-7 points.
That's a beautiful thing.
But the reason that it exists is because the NAIA schools have come to realize Philly's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a kid from Camden, Philly, maybe wasn't a stud in high school, but he can come out here and he can help me.
And ball out.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of that going on. There's a guy named, I'll give him public recognition, his name is Stephen Alford. Stephen has placed probably 50, 60 kids D2 NAIA over the last 4 or 5 years. Sharif Knox from MOTEP went to St. Joe's. From St. Joe's, I think he went to Coppin State.
Yep.
He just played for the NAIA Division I championship. They lost.
I got a good one for you too.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Ward just won a championship in Florida at Florida Memorial, and then now puts his name in a portal. He has at least 10 Division I offers right now, so he's got a chance to go back up from NAIA.
We have to, and he won. He won when he went to Florida Memorial. Sharif will get a degree from Langston. He ain't paying no money. He actually making a couple dollars. NAIAs do these NIL stuff. It's not 400,000. Might be 2,000, 3,000.
Paying for school, you get a little couple change in your pocket. And
so you're basically saying everybody just, because it's not going anywhere, everybody need to become just more knowledgeable
about the options.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Be more acceptance. I've known kids that'll tell you, I'm not going to school if it's not Division I.
Yeah, all day long.
They tell you.
Talk about that.
They think
I'm not going.
Delusional.
Yes.
Thinking it's like, I'm going to Duke. Your dream school is one thing, but when you're coming up to your junior, senior year, and ain't nobody calling, you still thinking like, yo, well, I need to be playing at this level. There's nothing wrong with junior college. There's nothing wrong with Division II. There's nothing wrong. Even some D3s, like Albertus Magnus in Connecticut, has Amir Madrid went there from Camden. Mm-hmm. Rob Tinley from Haddon Heights went there. Keith Antonio Davis from Eastern went there. And they all had great careers and they all graduated. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Donovan, rest in peace, Donovan Guest was signed to go there too. Yeah. So there's schools that put together financial packages, even on the Division III level, that are not strenuous. And then Division II schools like Bloomfield, as Gerald Holmes is taking care of many of the kids.
And Gerald always comes down, yes.
Every time. So there's plenty of Division II and NAIA schools. Florida is full of great NAIA opportunities for full scholarship for kids. But you got to get your tapes out there. You got to get the right people around you, and you got to just continue to put yourself out there to get
because they don't have the budget. Dunk's right. Somebody got to hand it to them. Mm-hmm. They're not getting on planes. They're not flying up here for the live period. They don't have the budget.
Right.
They might scrape up something to get the kid down there for a visit. If they do that, they expect him to commit. Because they ain't got 20 official visits like everybody else. But it's out there. There's a young man that I won't put him out there, but his mom asked me to call him because West Virginia, I want to say West Virginia Tech or one of them, it's an NAIA school, full scholarship, and he didn't really have anything else. And he wasn't a starter on his high school team, and these people offered him a full scholarship. His mom said, could you talk to him? I called him. I said, dude, your mom does okay. Your mom and dad work. I'm like, dude, you're not getting a whole bunch of financial aid. It's either you take this scholarship or your mom's gonna have to pay $50,000, $60,000. Like, and you ain't no great student. So, we need to think about, and he listened, and I knew because the coach had called my man Steph and said, look, if the kid don't take it, he's my choice. I want him. But if he don't take it, I'm going to take another kid within a week. I'm going to give him a week. So I'm like, Mom, you don't want to play with this. We talking about $50,000, $60,000. Don't they waited and called that man, and that man gave that, like he said he would. He took another kid. Scholarship gone. Now, he lucked up in some school in Idaho. Now, he thought West Virginia was far. But now
he got to go to Idaho.
He got to go to Idaho.
That choice.
Hey man, it's real now. It's real. They're not playing, but I don't want people to be misconstrued and think that there are fewer opportunities. There are fewer Division I opportunities for high school kids. There may be more opportunities than ever for high school kids, but they're not.
Not the Division I level.
Right.
It's going to be schools you never heard of.
And you got to think outside the box.
That's what it's going to be.
You got to think outside the box. You got kids now going to JUCO for a year and then going Division I or Division II.
Yeah.
There's other ways to continue to market yourself and put yourself out there to get these platforms to be successful.
It's just not going to be that dream way.
It's not going to be a straight pass. Sometimes
That
you
portal,
might go left
man.
and go.
Isaiah Posh, we all know.
Yeah.
Great player, great high school player, good size, good everything. Coming out of high school, he was getting recruited, American, Temple. He was getting recruited at the CAA level, decent level. Goes to St. Tommy Moore, has a good year.
Yeah.
This year comes out, portal. He ends up committing to Delaware. Isaiah Posh could have committed to Delaware after 11th grade.
Yeah.
But he graduated, went up to New England, played in prep school. He's at Delaware.
One of the best prep school leagues in the country.
Yes, and
Played
did well.
And played well.
He's at Delaware.
Yeah. So some of these low ones, mids, they benefit from it because you get some talent that you probably wouldn't have got your hands on before. But the landscape is just changing. We just got to adjust to it.
It's not going back because, like I said, it's driven by court decisions.
Yeah. Real quick, I mean, y'all talking about this, but just because I still don't really understand it. How does NIL work? Like, I don't get it.
You get how it's supposed to work, and then how it works.
I don't
how
understand
it's supposed to work is that if, let's say, all three of us went to Rutgers, Camden, right, and we decided, you know what, we want to make Rutgers Camden as competitive as possible. We're not going to talk to the AD. We're not going to talk to the coach. We're not working with them. We're separate. And we're going to go to the alumni base and get everybody that went to Rutgers Camden with us. Now we got the list. So we call all these guys. We need 1,000 from everybody, right? So say we raised $300,000. That's money that the three of us, we decide who gets that money. The coach not supposed to come over to our office and say, hey, I'm recruiting this kid and I want you to, because that would be the school paying the kid directly. That's how it's supposed to work.
It'll be our collective.
Yes, ours. It's supposed to be separate from the schools, technically. The way it works is the coach comes over. The coach say, hey, Dunk, look, I got this power forward out of Oklahoma, man. We need 75 for him. And Dunk checks his books. Hey, we got it, coach. You tell him we got it. Now, the courts have said that the coach can actually say that now. Now, the coach, technically speaking, the coach still not supposed to be communicating, with us. But the courts have said that the coach can, during a recruiting visit, use NIL as an inducement for recruiting. So what happens?
There's nothing they can say.
It's like the first thing they talk about now. It's this,
Yeah, hearing that too.
Maybe your schedule. Maybe if it's high major, hey, we playing Duke, we playing Kentucky, we playing this, and right after that, we talking about the money.
Yep.
And if he don't like the product after he gave that 75, you're knocking on the coach's door.
No, but it's 1 year.
Oh, I think Villanova's going through that right now. I think Villanova's going through that right now. I think Kentucky is going through that right now.
It's a lot of people going through it.
I mean,
Bro,
I think Kansas, but they're at a whole different level. Right. But I believe there's some people at Kansas that are probably disappointed in the outcome.
Hey,
but they still made the tournament. The teams that did not make the tournament, come on, man. We gave 150,000. He averaged 6 points.
If we're alumnus and they don't come through with winning, then it's a problem.
Okay, so now you come back to me again, and I paid for this dude, and this I got Google.
Right.
Dude averaged 2 points, 1 rebound.
Right.
You asked me for $150,000.
Right.
I gave it to you, coach.
Right.
Now I love you.
I did my part.
But dude, I don't trust your judgment. You got to do a better job of picking these guys out. Matter of fact, this year I'm going to give you half of that, coach. Oh, this is real.
Yeah, no, it gets crazy. And then it puts the coaches, it's a microwavable society, so everybody wants to win right away.
Absolutely.
So they think that these older kids equate to winning, and when it doesn't, then guess what it does? It puts the fingers on the coach. So you got to find a way to win. When it was the one and dones, that was the wave. Now the wave is portal guys, but I still think it's portal mixed with some top high school kids and some high school kids too. But you know, this is what it is. And I think every year it gets worse because people think they see the success stories like the dude from Oakland or this school knocking this place off or Iona beating whatever last year. So they just want to go old.
Think about, I mean, if you can literally strike gold though. Shrewsbury and Penn State last year, when they had Pickett was, and he came from Siena. He came from Siena. And his stats in the MAC actually went up when he went to the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. He was so good at Penn State that Andrew Funk is in the NBA. Seth Lundy is in the NBA. Because they went and got Pickett, he backs them down, dribbles. They force him to collapse.
Everybody
Here you go, Seth. Here you go. And they was knocking them down. Seth and Andrew, what they make, the Sweet 16?
They had a great season.
Yeah, and so Shrewsbury goes to Notre Dame for $1 gazillion.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. That's what people are looking at.
Yeah.
That is exactly what people are looking at.
Insane what y'all saying, bro.
You got it, but I mean, you got to find, it ain't a lot of Pickets, man. He was ready.
That's what I'm saying. It's insane.
I mean, yeah, there's success stories, then there's damaged goods. There's a lot of kids out there, that, especially the ones that are trying to go down because they're like, yo, I'm trying to salvage my career, get my stats to go overseas.
Still don't play.
They ain't going there to win. They're not going there. And then you got these schools I ain't gonna say the schools, but I know quite a few schools that don't have any NIL money. So therefore, they got slim pickings, and then they're still saying they don't want high school kids.
But their AD just got to be realistic. Like, now, I'm not going. I know you out here, dude. They got guns and knives. I'm saying
and you got plastic fork
with a pillow.
yeah.
You know, until you go rumble.
So they might have a little bit more leeway. They ain't gonna fire them right away, but these guys got to get creative. They got to go get the best D2 kids. They got to hit the NAIA kids that are in the portal. They got to tap into JUCO. You get those coaches are really coaching. Right. When you don't got no money in this process,
think about Rutgers, man. How do you get 2 of the best 3
in the country?
How? Somebody said, "Yo, man, we need to get in this thing." Somebody did. I don't know. I have no facts, but there's no way you get 2 of the top 3 players in the country to show up at Rutgers to play basketball. Other than someone just said we need to do a better job in
get it done.
And they'll be on TV, and you hope it translates to wins. But I don't know. I don't know if you can. I don't think the young guys can just beat these old guys.
But I will say, Rutgers is doing a good job grabbing guys like the the Player of the Year and played with Bud Clark
from
Merrimack. Yeah, Gurkak.
We hoping.
You know what I mean?
Like if they could have kept Cliff, because we know Cliff can play Big Ten defense.
Yeah, Cliff was an anchor.
We hoping that this guy from Merrimack can come.
You know what I mean? He's a wing, and then they went and grabbed another guard. So you got to have a mixture, but they definitely gonna be missing Cliff.
Where we go from here? In closing, where we go from here? And I guess we could speak from our lens because none of us really have no idea where this is going, right?
I think the markets are going to play out. It's going to settle. It's going to settle down. The guys are going to figure out, how much money they can live with donating. The smart schools have already gone away from the individual donors and started going corporate. Arkansas is relying on Tyson Chicken, Walmart. That's who's funding.
Humongous.
That's a corporate write-off. I don't have to beg you. Memphis Penny just got a commitment, $25 million from FedEx over 5 years. That's FedEx. That's done. They sign the papers. You'll get that money. The guys who are relying on individual donors, you got to deal with the quirkiness of an individual donor. Yeah. If you win, he might double it up next year. If you lose, he might say coach. Or he might walk in and tell the AD, get rid of the coach.
It's deep.
I mean, yeah.
It's deep.
Yeah. So I do think the markets are going to play out, but I think when you say where we go from here, markets are unpredictable, man. If they weren't, we would all be rich. If we knew which stock and which area was gonna go, we're gonna have to let it play out. This is what we asked for. This is what we wanted. People sued for these rights. They won in court. They're not gonna reverse it, man. In fact, if I had to predict, I would say about maybe 100, 120 of them are gonna break away and be totally separate. It's going to be the big-time football schools, Big Ten, SEC. It'll be like AFC, NFC, and they'll have a Super Bowl. They'll have their own thing. And everybody else will be doing something. I don't know, but it ain't going to be the biggest thing. The biggest thing is going to be the Big Ten. Whatever the Big Ten and the SEC, they done eliminated the Pac-12. It's gone.
Y'all think contracts ever come?
For the players? Yes. And they're going to be with the school, not NIL. That's coming. It's inevitable because it'll give them more control. Now I got you for 3 years.
Can't leave every year on me.
Yeah, you can't leave. I mean, they still have to sell it to the consumer, right? And the fan, and let's keep it real. It may pain some people to hear me keep saying this, but the white guys pay. That's who pays. The white alums. They bottom's expensive. I have never paid for a college basketball ticket. I've been to thousands of games. I have friends that buy 6 season tickets at their school. 6. Like, you give them, what you buying? It's a flex. That's what they like to do. So to keep those guys happy and keep them in the game, I think that it's going to be led by the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10. And they're going to figure out a way. It's going to be, I don't know, maybe 80, 100, I don't know how many, but it's all driven by football. And basketball, they'll just back in and figure it out what to do with basketball. But they're going to have something similar to the AFC and an NFC. And they'll play each other, and then at the end, you'll have a playoff, and you'll have a college Super Bowl. Look, UMass left the A-10 to go, so UMass basketball is going to play Akron, Toledo, Buffalo. What is that? Temple plays North Texas, Texas San Antonio, Florida Atlanta. What is that? That's football, man. And they just trying to make the basketball make some kind of sense after the fact that we gonna play each other in football. So that's where all you gotta do is follow the football if you want to know what's gonna happen in the future.
Let's close with this. What you telling families now? I know that the athlete, the caliber of their skill level, it
what am
varies,
I telling families?
In general, what you telling families nowadays?
Because this was going to be on what I was going to say anyway to close out. I'm going to kind of piggyback off what Del said, and I think it's really important that we just continue to make the families aware of their options moving forward. These kids have to have motivation, and if they think like, oh man, I can't go D1, they're going to be less motivated to work as hard. They're not going to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a light. We just have to change our expectations a little bit and see that there's other options that are viable options for us. The Division II level is not embarrassing. It's some tough. There's this much separates a Division II guard from a Division I guard.
That kid Timko at Jefferson, he's All-American Division II. He's got 4 or 5 D1s.
Exactly. I mean, even let's take it as simple as Man at Westchester.
Man's going Division I like
State,
that. Could have went last year.
Exactly.
Wanted to graduate from Westchester. I respect that.
And move on, and now he'll have a great career at Del State too. But we have to know that we can be a little bit more creative to get to the finish line. It's not to say that you can't go D1, but you might got to go D2 first. You might got to go JUCO. You might got to go NAIA. You just have to think outside of the box. And I think the information is what's lacking to parents. So that's why we try to give that information to all the parents. And I always tell people, the information is more valuable than anything. Anybody can be a trainer. You can go on YouTube, pull up drills. You got goofy dudes grabbing balloons out there, laying the ball up, sliding cones on the ground. Like, cones ain't never play defense. We do translatable basketball. We're going to get to our spots, one dribble pull-ups, play with contact, do different things. We're going to have life talks to make you understand the game from a basketball player's perspective, not a dude that played JV as a junior teaching you how to play basketball. And no offense to that, but there's information that can be given to these kids to make them successful. And I think some of the most important information is what their options could be after their senior year, how they should approach that summer going into their junior year, how the AAU world works where you can play for a high school that's not as heralded, but if you get on one of these sneaker teams, it can change your life. You can play on a local AAU team, but play on a team in a Catholic league, and that could change your life. I call it the 1 out of 2 ratio. You gotta have 1 out of 2. And if you play 2 out of 2, more power to you. But 1 out of 2, you got a chance. But you can't, some high school coaches selfishly don't want kids to have other opportunities. I firmly believe if you're a part of a kid's journey, you're really still winning. As long as the kids win in the end, that's all. If somebody comes to me and says, hey, Coach Dunk, you know, I need to work on this, and I feel like I can't help them get there, and I can call my man in California, or call my man in Philly, or call my man in Delaware that can help him get to that place, I'm sending them, because it's not about us. It's about the kids and getting them where they need to be. Does that happen too much? Do I think I know a lot? Yeah, I do. But if that case comes up, it takes a village. And I've called Del many a times to help me get a kid in school. Del has called me, yo, Dunk, what can we do for this kid? It's a collaborative effort on a lot of things. My man, Randy Miller, we've collaborated on 1 million kids getting them to school. Like, that's what we all here for. If we ain't here for that, we hustling backwards. We're not in it for the right things.
What we doing?
I think it should be noted that everything ain't for everybody. And I was at Portsmouth from Wednesday to Saturday. So I talked to a lot of NBA scouts. I watched the games. We had some kids play wonderful down there. Estrada really helped himself tremendously. Kid from Woodbury, you know, he's probably going to be in Chicago at the NBA camp. Donta Scott and Eric Dixon, it is without question, their bottom floor. They can go forward right now knowing that the worst they could do next year is play in the first division in Europe. There's kids out here that try to get to that first division. It might take you 5 or 6 years to get to that first division. That's their floor. I mean, they could have cut those deals while they were in Portsmouth. So I've seen that. But during the NBA interviews, one of the things that both of those kids were commended on, and the scouts came over and told me that they really appreciated the fact, was neither one of them transferred. And both of those kids told me that was one of the things every scout asked them. You know, in this day and age, you know, why'd you stay at Maryland? Why'd you stay at Nova for 5 years? He said, it's just, I'm just wondering. They got asked that by every scout. Now, what they're looking for is what the kids gave them. You know, Coach, you know, we went through some coaching changes and all that, but you know, I'm a loyal person. And they gave me an opportunity coming out of high school, and you know, they looked out for me, and I just, you know, I'm comfortable here. You know, I like it here. I'm okay. I don't want to just chase just because everybody else is chasing. They absolutely, that was a big, big plus for them during their interview process. The fact that they did not go in the portal.
And that's an interesting point.
Fellas.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Appreciate y'all, man. Oh, God, talk about this. We out.
I think we gave them some good information, and that's all that matters.